Hello and welcome to the Tapestry. This is our first video on the personality tapestry or triadic personality system and its foundations within the human mind. This will be a mix of basic psychology and my own perspectives on its distinctive facets, including personality, the psyche, and persona. Before we start, I have a few important notes. First, I am using some altered definitions. Language is a tool, so I have expanded or shifted the words that we have to express this topic more precisely. Second, a reminder that psychology is not discrete. Everything in our minds is interconnected. The purpose of categorization is to understand the various facets of the mind, not to isolate or polarize how they work together. Thirdly, on how the mind relates to our personal limits. As I said in 16 Personas, most people overestimate their capabilities and often use personality to enable this overestimation. Personality is, if anything, a sliver of our aptitude and most likely affects the specific tilts or skews in our general abilities. These smaller differences can stand out from within our own perspectives and in comparison to our social circles, but general abilities, whether physical or psychological, are the most significant portion of aptitude. Aptitude is our natural capability. Someone with a higher aptitude can acquire skills quicker or easier than someone with a lower aptitude. For actual skill, we also need the experience, training, and practice to develop and realize our aptitude. Our skills are like a glass, or the current limits to our capabilities. Our immediate readiness, like whether we have the will or energy, then fills or drains that glass at any given moment. Someone might have the skill, the technical capability, but if they didn't sleep well or are stressed, then their working capability will be lower. And then, of course, there is a hypothetical limit to our capacity, the maximum potential we can reach. Now we will overview how the mind can be distinguished into various faculties. The mind is composed of 4 distinctive faculties, our core psyche and 3 auxiliaries. The 3 or triadic auxiliary faculties are cognition, affect, and pulsion. On my website homepage in the Triadic Personality Fact, there's an article about tripartite faculties or activities. I currently have these as functions. I've changed this a few times and would like to hear any thoughts about which phrasing works better. The triadic faculties are like the properties or constituents of our psyche. Yours or mine are thoughts, feelings, or actions. They are integral parts of our selfhood. Whereas the psyche is the owner or head faculty, you or me, our core selfhood. The psyche is our most consistent and long-term faculty at the center of our subjective experience as ourselves, who we are as the driver of our existence. Our self-concepts are our perceptions, interpretations, and estimations of ourselves, including our psyche and everything else about ourselves. And persona is the external expression or presentation of ourselves. Persona has a negative connotation of inauthenticity. However, persona can also be the genuine face of who we are. Every faculty has advancing levels. There's a tendency to experience or perceive lower faculties as more subconscious, reactive, or subordinate, and higher faculties as more conscious, proactive, or executive, and as truly ourselves. There's also a tendency for people to prescribe inherent rightness or trustworthiness to certain levels or triads. I cannot emphasize enough that rightness or rationality does not increase with higher faculties, only the potential. It's just like advancing technology or any other tool. Yes, you can see advancing potential as better for having higher potential, but then there's the other dimension where that potential can be used for worse. Our language is limiting. We don't have good terms to distinguish irrational as in base or rudimentary, and thus narrower utility, from irrational as in anti-rational or wrongful usage. Logic, for example, is at a higher level than emotions, so has wider potential. But the definition of illogical includes being reasonable, specifically favoring a positive usage, whereas emotional includes unmanageable or unstable emotionality, favoring a negative usage. This is extremely biased and misleading, ignoring the more negative potential of logic. To be rational, logic must be controlled, questioned, and suspected just as much and more than emotion. So base or lower faculties are, in and of themselves, inherently irrational as in lacking more advanced potential. In pulsion, this includes our instincts and drives, compulsions and impulses that drive us. In affect, this includes our emotions and attitudes. Moods are long-term emotional states, and I think attitudes are emotions with weaker qualia, less feeling, more like a state of being or mind. Affect conventionally means these various lower subjective states. In cognition, this includes mental models and memories, the reproductions and simulations of information, essentially the raw materials of our thoughts. Personality is the base of our psyche. It is the most irrational, unadvanced part of ourselves. I call personality the fingerprint of our psyche. Each facet is shared across other people and so part of a collective psyche, but our combination of facets is unique, like a fingerprint. Personality gives everyone specialized tendencies or predispositions to their selfhood. Intermediate or middle faculties are the hub of mental activity. Pulsion here is the will, including willpower, volition, resolve or conviction, and conation. This is more like driving rather than being driven by lower pulsions. Affect here is awareness, including consciousness, sentience or cognizance, also attention. Cognition here are the mental tools, which include all cognitive utilities, involved in processing or working on the cognitive materials and coming to conclusions. In our psyche, this is who we make ourselves to be. Character is our distinctive qualities that aren't necessarily constrained by pre-existing tendencies. This is the nexus of our personal development, self-growth, or realization through our experience, which is internalized into who we are and changes us as a person. You cannot develop your personality. Even if you could change it, there aren't developmental stages. But you can develop yourself, your character, in relation to your personality. Meta, or higher faculties, are the widest potential of the mind. The highest pulsion is free will, the will about will. Feel free to discuss how free this really is. Regardless, this is how we experience will reflexively. The highest affect is sapience. I use this to mean the awareness or wiseness to awareness itself. The highest cognition is metacognition. Thinking about thinking is most evidenced by written or formal languages. The highest level of our psyche is our potential as agents, truly rational and responsible beings. This underlies personhood and our legal or moral standing from child to adulthood. Hopefully, we now have a decent idea of the human mind, facets we should be considering, and where personality fits within them. Is this complete and balanced, or is it missing something? Are there better terms for these concepts? Please comment your thoughts. In the next video, I will be introducing the most important principle to my fundamentally different personality system.